Doctor, look at this.
Hey everybody, we have just started streaming today, Monday night. It is 10:30 p.m. IST, 10:31 exactly. 19th November 2018. If you want to make a time travel jump stop from the future to the past, don't jump in here now, okay? Because what I have tonight is actually really relevant to consumerism of the future. That's the Doctor landing on what, Kerblat? You know what that reminds me of? There's a show called. Oh wait, you can't see it, can you? Wait,
Look at the size of it.
I'll show you.
Must be thousands of people
Okie
in
dokie.
there. How are we going to find out who sent that
That's the
message?
thing.
Halfway across the universe and I feel like I'm back at work.
Ryan? Brilliant!
Yes. Ryan, brilliant.
We're going undercover. Chop chop!
Good morning, work.
Okay, so
Welcome to
you know
another
that
reward.
Can you
reminds
take
me.
again? We just came in from Kandoka. We must be on the list there somewhere.
Not expecting anyone new today. Didn't even know there was a shuttle coming in.
Yeah, so there's this thing on Nickelodeon a long while back. It was called Kablam. And my favorite part of Kablam was actually this segment called Life with Loopy. Okay, I can't believe I'm not subscribed with that. But it's amazing. I have never related to a show more than Life with Loopy. I don't know why. Am I Loopy? Do I know Loopy? I don't know. But
Larry here. You know, people often wonder.
Larry's
what
like
Loopy's gonna
my
be when
guy.
she grows
My
up.
guy Larry.
Astrophysicist, brain surgeon. Well, after seeing her at our yard sale last weekend, I'd say she's gonna sell used cars. 'Cause when it comes to wheeling and dealing, Loopy's the cut price queen.
Check it out, folks. Everything's gotta go. Our prices are insane.
By lunchtime, she'd sold just about everything.
Boy, all that haggling made me hungry. Where's lunch?
Here you go, honey.
Whatever happened
Now
to this
where's that
animation
father of
style?
yours?
Last time I saw him, he was out front.
Paper
taking a nap in
cutouts.
the recliner.
The recliner? I just sold that
And
to
clay.
a couple of weird guys in overcoats.
Oh dear, you must have sold your father along with it.
Yes. Oh dear, you must have sold your father along with it. Oh god, I just look so scary right now. Okay. I I realize. I'm sorry. Okie dokie. Let's see.
6 a.m. and your hand can't make it to the alarm clock before the voices in your head start telling you that it's too early, too dark, and too cold to get out of bed.
Is it kind
Aching
of
muscles
low
lie
volume
still
right
in
now? I
rebellion,
feel it is.
pretending not to hear your brain commanding them to move. A legion of voices are
Oh,
shouting
it
your
is, it
unanimous
is.
permission for you to hit the
Okay,
snooze button.
sorry guys. You couldn't hear me all this time.
But you didn't ask.
Ah.
The voice you've chosen to listen to is one of defiance. A voice
Okay.
that says there was a reason you set that alarm in the first place. So sit up,
I hope
put
it's
your
fine
feet
now.
on the floor, and don't look back because we've got work to do.
Okay, I just fixed it.
Welcome to the grind.
Welcome to the grind. Okie dokie.
For what is each day but a series of conflicts between the right way and the easy way? 10,000
I
streams
need
fan out
someone
like a
to
river
say
delta
hi.
before you, each one promising the path of least resistance. Thing is, you're headed upstream. And when you make that choice, when you decide to turn your back on what's comfortable and safe and what some would call common sense, well, that's day
I
one.
don't usually
From
listen
there, it
to
only gets
everything,
tougher.
but
So just
like,
make sure this is something you
like
want.
stuff
Because
like
the
this.
easy way out will always be there, ready to wash you away.
It's worth watching.
All you have to do is pick up your feet.
All you have to do is pick up your feet. So this guy over here, Devin Crawford, I've been following him for a really long while.
Probably going to take more than one
And
day to do,
he's
but
learning C#.
we need to store our
which is kinda
information in a
different from
database,
Java.
and then we
He
need to
knows.
write a C# application that pulls GitHub, inserts data into our database. It's going to be so fun. I'm so hyped.
So, as he's doing that, this guy, other guy, Carlisle, is he's working on stuff as well.
Okay, so our software page currently looks like this, and then you can see I was trying to, there's only 2 projects here, but instead of doing this, we're just going to have this huge table, and we're just going to display all my GitHub projects. I'm excited.
Classic! You don't remember how the boxes used to like pop up, like cards, right? Pop out cards. Really good UX. Really good UX back in 2018. That's what you're gonna say. Really. I can see the cringe on my face like even 1 or 2 years from now. You looked at this screen and said,
okay, so I've been working on
a video like this by now.
Scheduler. You know, I looked up schedulers in .NET Core, and I found this one, Hangfire. It looks pretty solid. A lot of the time you have background tasks. So for example, my GitHub thing, I need to pull GitHub and insert the changes into my database every like 10 minutes, right?
Dude,
and then the front end
like
just contact my database without having to actually, like, it would be a bad design if the user, every request, contacted GitHub, because I would overload GitHub. Like, let's say 1,000 people join my site. We don't want to make 1,000 requests to GitHub. I don't really know what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to learn .NET. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it all out. I'm just going to put on music and...
he's a resilient guy, you know? He learns.
Out, man.
Ladies and gentlemen,
just like this guy, huh? He's working on the Fix Engine project. And actually, if I could recruit some of Devin's like 34,000, 35,000 friends over here, like, I need some roles, you know? Help me on that.
Now, we have to take our massive JSON and convert it into objects.
Okay.
Holy shit. Whoa. There is a list, and each object is like a project, right? All I had to do was say read as async, list project, and then I just defined the project to be this. And then that's it.
That's it.
So now we have both the GitHub projects and our local projects. We've got one record in our database, and it's just this fake data that I just threw in there. It's basically, it's just this data. So this local should populate with this. It's coming from our database.
So he seems stuck on a lot of
Sorry, I'm freaking out. And local is here. Oh.
I really
oh shit, this song is so good.
Why is everyone in 2018 like into lo-fi? I'm gonna be like, why am I commenting on the current year? That's a hot topic with me.
Wow.
Lo-fi really took off in a really big way. Happened in Japan by Ryan Celsius.
Now we've got something that can automatically detect what's changed. We should see all these rows get removed, and then this should become up to date with what GitHub has right now, which was mind-blowing, right? So we're gonna run it for like the first time. It's gonna open up.
I need that one.
Wow. Let's see what our database looks like now.
Oh yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Let's see. What did that look like? Oh, he just cleaned it up.
Test our thing.
Ooh.
Let's. It's all back. You can't get rid of it now. If we go to the hang file, sick. Both of these don't exist. Right now it's set up to, it says it's going to execute in 26 minutes, but little does it know, it's going to have to, here we go, processing. A few seconds ago. Wait, so did it just go? Oh, it just went. Wow. I love how you can see my JSON here. It's pretty beautiful, dude. Now I you know, I didn't even plan to make a single video because I just code for like 12 hours at a time, and then it's very hard to extract any talking out of that, any explanation. So the final result, dude, what is the final result? The final result is we have a service that can pull GitHub and insert the changes into my database. Now, I used an open source software called Hangfire, and that's what you saw on the dashboard, and that's what can schedule jobs based on a cron schedule. All I have to do to create a new service is I can write a regular object, like this is the function that I want you to execute, schedule a recurring job, and schedule it on this cron schedule. And then all I have to do is go into my startup, and I have to just say jobs.add type of, and then the type of the class.
Like
that's
every
it.
time.
So anytime I'm like, oh, I want to create a new background service. All I have to do is add 2 lines of code, and then just code as I normally would, which is really what excites me. That was my main goal from this project, was so that in the future I have a system that allows me to do that on a bigger scale. So obviously I'm excited. Yeah, man. You guys should subscribe and follow my social medias, and I will see you. I'll see you when I see you. Okay, I gotta make the videos good, dude. I gotta make the videos good. Okay, I'll try and post more often.
Yeah, man. Definitely. So I gotta be on that level,
how you
Devin
can
Crawford
become like super programmer like myself.
So
how you can write code.
What am I doing to reach that, right? So free code camp. That's
so I'm gonna start with telling you 2 stories. There's basically 2 stories of how I became
basically is helping a lot.
One of them is really cool, and the other one is
devs seem to be sometimes helpful.
They're both kind
Getting
of true.
friends in general is
I'm
like
not just
very
coming up
hard.
with this. So I was about 13. I horribly broke my leg in a sporting accident because I was a very sporty youth, as you can tell. And you know, I didn't have anything to do. I was like, you know, it was summer. Everybody else was just like chasing ball, chasing tail, you know, whatever they were doing. I was at home. I didn't have any friends, but I had this one friend, and his friend was called IRC. But
something.
All right, let's do this. So the first thing you need to do in order to can you see this? Cool. The first thing you need to do in order to create a Visual Studio plugin, you say yo code. It's not a joke. There's this tool called Yeoman Generator, and you can install generators for it. In this case, it's the code, VS Code generator. And now, if you know, this is where you kind of decided, do you want to be a real hacker? If I was the kind of hacker that had actually like gone do the kind of Perl and SSH and whatever route, I would choose JavaScript. But I'm the Microsoft guy, so I chose TypeScript. And we're gonna give this a name.
TypeScript.
It's gonna call it VS Code Hacker Macros. And I'm just gonna say yes to everything. I don't know what that is.
At some point,
we're gonna pray that npm install works.
They just be like
cool.
These very niche programs.
And then we're just gonna open VS Code.
No one can really follow because they use TypeScript.
See this?
Swift.
Bigger maybe?
Something else that
it's
very rare to find these days.
So I'm just gonna like quickly show what's here. So we have a package JSON. This is like a standard TypeScript node project. We have some activation events. We have some commands that we can use to kind of give basically start our program. And then we have this file called extension.ts. I've treated a little bit. I made this buffer, some storage files that we're gonna like store some of these macros in, but they're not very important.
Is he going to do that?
Really, look at them right now. We're just gonna need to create basically like storage class. And then we're gonna create. It is a bit tricky where we need to kind of like register some of the things here. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's like, it's like boring plumbing thing. This is the thing about TypeScript. It's like you need to write all this bullshit code that you normally like wouldn't have to. So arrow keys because that will fuck everything up.
I feel that
10, except no, not 10. I'm just gonna do X instead, and I get whatnot. So one of them is that I've always really wanted to be like the.
So
great, but the best way to understand code is to be able to jump around it, like look at things, explain them. I believe here.
There is
I
this
can't show
thing
you.
called
But you can kind of like go and mix things up and like highlight things and then just continue typing and it kind of works. The other thing is that I wanted to explore, like in truly this story about Excel wasn't like hokey kitsch. It's really like where I started really programming. And now that, like we have, these tools that are automatable in the programming languages that we all know, or VS Code, TypeScript or JavaScript, I wanted to kind of see like how can we do this. And VS Code extensibility is really, really great. I'm not a big fan of TypeScript as a programming language. If you have a language that has the word type in it, it should probably do type checking, but it doesn't actually work. Like there's so many broken things in it that doesn't actually like correctly validate the types of your code. But that said, this experience of learning how VS Code extensibility works couldn't have been easier. I did not read any documentation. All I went is like, okay, well, let's see what this automated generator gives me and explore the API via the auto-completions and all that. So I thought that was like a really, really great experience. Now I'm gonna leave you with this. Really topical. There's another quote from Richard saying, our friends at Formidable who made Victory. So we are basically a software consultancy that does a lot of open source stuff. So Victory that Richard mentioned is something that we made. Spectacle that Claire used is something that we made, and a bunch of other things as well. And we are hiring, so if you want to work on this kind of like cool open source space, please do talk to us. And the most important thing about this is, why did I really make this, is recently Formidable started to pay people for any open source contributions they do on their free time, which means I got paid for this shit, which is pretty incredible. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So that's pretty cool. You get paid for open source contributions. Usually, open source has this connotation with being like volunteer work, free work. But somebody actually, yes, please, thank you. It's a agency. Okay. Oh my god, these are the people that made Radium. I know Radium. But right now I'm interested in Victory for some reason. Okay, we got an open source project. Oh, this looks nice. Brilliant! I got a friend who would love this. We had a plan for this like a year, like 2 years ago, but then I couldn't get the graphs right using just matplotlib. I couldn't get the graphs right using matplotlib. This fixes it. Oh god, thank you, Victory. Okay, I'm glad I checked this out. This is it. This is multi-layer composite waveform, custom component. This is brilliant stuff. What is it? Multi-layer composite waveform, custom component. This is brilliant stuff. Why do I have echo? Do I have echo? Why do I have echo? Do I have echo? Why do I have echo? I seem to have echo. Let's figure out why. Do I have echo? Why do I have echo? I seem to have echo. Let's figure out why. Do I have echo? Why do I have echo? I seem to have. Okay. I think it's because the yeah, it's because the desktop audio picked up the video's audio, and that created 2 layers. Yeah, that makes sense. That actually does make sense. Look at me. This is like my how many, like, dozenth stream, and I'm still working out audio and video issues. I should turn that background thing off now. It's annoying me. Turn that background thing off now. It's annoying me. Okay.
But you aren't going to, are you? With each step comes the decision to take another. You're on your way now, but this is no time to dwell on how far you've come. You're in a fight against an opponent you can't see, but oh, you can feel him on your heels, can't you? Feel him breathing down your neck.
Ominous.
You know what that is? That's
what
you.
Am I doing?
Your fears, your doubts, and insecurities all lined up like a firing squad, ready to shoot you out of the sky. But don't lose heart. While they're not easily defeated, they are far from invincible.
If there's one skill,
remember, this is the grind, the battle royale between you and your mind, your body, and the devil on your shoulder who's telling you that this is just a game. This is just a waste of time. Your opponents are stronger than you. Drown out the voice of uncertainty with the sound of your own heartbeat. Burn away your self-doubt with a fire lit beneath you. Remember what we're fighting for, and never forget that momentum is a cruel mistress. She can turn on a dime with the smallest mistake. She is ever searching for the weak place in your armor, that one tiny thing you forgot to prepare for. So as long as the devil is hiding the details, the question remains, is that all you got? Are you sure? And when the answer is yes, when you've done all you can to prepare yourself for battle, then it's time to go forth and boldly face your enemy, the enemy within. Only now you must take that fight into the open, into hostile territory. You're a lion in a field of lions, all hunting the same elusive prey with a desperate starvation that says victory is the only thing that can keep you alive. So believe that voice that says you can run a little faster, and you can throw a little harder, and that for you, the laws of physics are merely a suggestion. Luck is the last dying wish of those who want to believe that winning can happen by accident. Sweat, on the other hand, is for those who know it's a choice. So decide now, because destiny waits for no man. And when your time comes and 1,000 different voices are trying to tell you you're not ready for it, listen instead to that lone voice of dissent. The one that says you are ready, you are prepared. It's all up to you now. So rise and shine.
There is nothing as powerful as a changed mind. You can change your hair, your clothing, your address, your spouse, your residence. But if you don't change your mind, the same experience will perpetuate itself over and over again, because everything outwardly changed, but nothing inwardly changed.
If you want something out of life, if you want to change yourself, if you want to acquire something, if there's some goal that you want to reach, changing your behaviors, overcoming negative habits, it's challenging. It's hard. Most people go through life never discovering what their talents are. Most people never develop their talents.
The only thing that's going to make you happy, my friend, in this year or any other, is to step up. It's to raise the standard. It's to discover what you're capable of and feel that incredible power of pushing through whatever's holding you back and get to the other side of more of your true self. That's what this game's all about.
When you step into your fears and continue to push yourself to go on, something happens for you.
If you look at somebody who's really successful and you think, wow, I mean, they're so amazing, they're such a genius, you gotta dig underneath and you gotta remember something. People are rewarded in public for what they've practiced for years in private.
If you don't develop the courage to do that which has been given you to do, and you spend a lot of time going around trying to convince other people or trying to get their approval, what will happen is that you will lose your nerve. And other people will convince you that what you're doing doesn't have any value, and you'll give up on your dream. How much time do you have left? How much time do you have left? When you start thinking about that, we don't know. Most of us don't use the stuff that we have brought into the universe. Stop wasting valuable time. If you want something, you have got to be relentless. You've got to learn how to become resourceful. You've got to learn how to become creative. The power to hold on in spite of everything, the power to endure. This is the winner's quality. The hunger, the ability to face defeat again and again without giving up. This is a winner's quality. What this power is, I cannot say. All I know is that it exists, and it becomes available only when a man or a woman is in that state of mind in which he or she knows exactly what he or she wants and is fully determined not to quit until they find it. There's greatness in you, and you've got to learn how to tune out the critics outside and the critic inside. I'm going to harness my will, and I'm not going to let anything stop me. I deserve this. Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful. There's nothing as powerful. It's hard to kill the human spirit. You are unstoppable. Live your life with passion, with some drive. Most of us go through life with our brakes on, holding back. Decide that you're going to push yourself. You've got to focus on you. And as you convince you, as you sell yourself every day, you will begin to see a difference in the things that you're doing. Selling yourself on your ability to perform a job, to achieve a certain objective. Telling yourself every day, here I go again. And I got what it takes. This is my day, and nothing out here is going to stop me.
We was in Atlanta. I'm walking out of the club. It's a rough place to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. We walking out of this club, this altercation breaks out. There's a bunch of people out there, these fighting break out. My limo is the only limo that's sitting in front of this club, fighting everywhere. Then gunshots ring. 14 gunshots hit the side of my limo. We drove off. We got back to the hotel. And the message was on the news. We are looking for a black limousine navigator in connection to a double homicide. 2 men were brutally stabbed today. Wow. I was definitely accused of double murder. I was falsely accused of double murder, actually. And they arrested me that morning in front of all 3 of my sons, which is the hardest thing to ever do, is to fight for your freedom in front of your family. And the first night I was in jail, a whisper came to my ear, and it said, "Can you hear me now?" And that's the only time, the real time, that I heard God that clearly. I'm always disturbed in my spirit on how people look at me from that instance, because those families that was affected will never know the truth. And that's sad. They still didn't find the people who done that. They never had an ounce of evidence of it. And that's when I knew, no matter where I was, no matter how low I had been in my life, by any means necessary, I will prove, not just to myself, to my family, to my children, to my fans, I gotta get something done. Because if y'all that bold to put my reputation on the line, then I'm as bold as you are to fight for it. We done been here 3 years in a
I'm always disturbed in my spirit.
Let this team off the hook.
From that instant.
Make sure something tonight ain't taking you away from this moment, man. Because this is all we got. That's what y'all don't realize most of the time. We don't get this again. We don't get this again. The clock runs too fast. That's why we got to savor these moments. Because they right now. I couldn't understand that when I was 24 and 25. That's why God had to incarcerate me, so I could see how great my blessing was He had for me. So I had to come from a jail cell being in position to then step on a Super Bowl podium, man. I don't do this for me. I watch enough film so I can put myself in position to make my defense the best defense in damn football. That's why I come back every year.
God has never made a mistake. He's never made one mistake. All right? So it ain't about one play, it ain't about nothing. This year, we did what we were supposed to do. We fought as a team. We fought as a team. There will be one Super Bowl champ crown at the end of this year. That's it. So the way we feel, somebody gonna feel like that tomorrow, and somebody gonna feel like that in a week. That's a fact. And the fact is, we got to come back and go to work to make sure we finish it next time. That's all we gotta do. Joe, you played your ass off. You hear me, man? I'm telling you, man, don't ever drop your head when it comes to a loss, dog. Because there's too much pain outside of this that people really going through. This right here makes us stronger. Let's understand who we are as a team. Let's understand who we are as men. And let's make somebody smile when we walk out of here. We got an opportunity to keep going, man. Let's be stronger as a team, man. Let's be who we are. Ravens on 3. 1, 2, 3, Ravens!
Let me tell you something. If tomorrow wasn't promised, what would you give for today? Forget everything else. Forget everything else. Forget that there was any sunlight left. What would you spend today thinking about? Yourself or the man that's beside you? Or the man that you know you'll give everything in your heart for? We get one opportunity in life. One chance in life to do whatever you're gonna do. To lay your foundation and to make whatever mark you're gonna make. Whatever legacy you're gonna leave. Leave your legacy. And it's found through effort. Wins and losses come a dime a dozen.
I'm not saying anything. That could be the reason
nobody
why.
Can judge effort. Because effort is between you and you.
Background, motivation.
Effort ain't got nothing to do with nobody else.
Going on is not that.
So that team that think they're ready to see you, they think what they seen on film, they ain't saw what film shows. Because every day is a new day. Every moment is a new moment.
Get it.
So now you got to go out and show them that I'm a different creature now than I was 5 minutes ago. Because I'm pissed off for greatness. Because if you ain't pissed off for greatness, that means you okay with being mediocre. Ain't no man in here okay with being just basic. So let's do what we do. Tonight, we ain't got to worry about taking no breaks. Don't worry about taking no breaks.
You must have faith. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in your abilities. You've got to believe in your service, your company, your ideas, unquestionably. You've got to have faith, and that faith gives you patience. That it's not going to happen as quickly as you want it to happen.
It's your dream. If you want it to happen, get your butt up and make it happen. If you want it to happen, rise and grind.
I dare you not to go back to sleep. I dare you to get up, and I dare you to chase your dreams. It's possible you could win. Whatever comes to you, don't run from it. Don't try and duck it like most people do. Step toward it. You want to make your dream come true, you got to stay focused. Some people rather get even than get ahead. Stay focused on where you want to go.
are you going with your life?
You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. You've got to find what you love, and that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become.
That you're going to have some ups and you're going to have some downs. Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful. There's nothing as powerful. It's hard to kill the human spirit. Anybody can feel good when they have their health, their bills are paid, they have happy relationships. Anybody can be positive then. Anybody can have a larger vision then. Anybody can have faith under those kinds of circumstances. The real challenge of growth, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, comes when you get knocked down. It takes courage to act. Part of being hungry when you've been defeated, it takes courage to start over again.
I'm hot. I'm big. Fuck!
Because if you're willing to do the work, you can have anything. That's what makes the US of A great. When it started, America was just a handful of scrawny colonies. Now, it's the most buff, pumped-up country on the planet. That's pretty rad.
Most people say they want to look better. Not everyone's willing to do whatever it takes to achieve it.
All of my heroes are self-made. Rocky, Scarface, all the guys from The Godfather, they all started out with nothing and built their way to perfection.
The way to prove yourself is to better yourself. That's the American dream.
I have no sympathy for people who squander their gifts. It's sickening. It's worse than sickening. It's unpatriotic.
I spot people for a living when you get right down to it. Give the client security and a little extra help to push themselves harder. When I was young, there was a rich kid lived 2 blocks over. Little prick had a new bike every Christmas.
The rashes are looking great.
And his parents took him on vacations to places like Paris and France. I mean, I didn't hate him. I just thought it'd be cool to see France. But I knew that wasn't ever gonna happen unless I did something about it.
Let's go, set. Oh, what's going on, DL? You've been unfocused all day, man.
You ever just get tired of being where you are, Adrian?
No, I kind of like it here. I mean, the weights are new to
I mean in life, man. Where you are in life. I mean, look at us, man. Superman. Come on! Don't you think we deserve better? 'Cause I do.
And I do too.
Then fucking act like it, man. Come on.
That's why when these roids kick into this chocolate mass, baby, I'm gonna be unstoppable. I ain't making no more tacos. I ain't cleaning up after nobody's tacos. I'm putting my beef in their tacos, baby. Everybody gonna eat some of this.
That's what I'm talking about.
walked in that door, you were 28% body fat. You wanted to be 6. I gave you that. You want to be 2? I will give you that. You deserve that. You want to be a monument to physical perfection? You want to be a shrine? You should be. You want to change, right? All you got is change in that fanny pack. Is that what you want? When's the last time you paid your rent when it was due? When's the last time you took one of those plump bitches out to dinner and you didn't sweat them morning dessert? You love those big bitches. And they love to eat. It's okay. That's important. But this being broke shit, it's got to stop, man. We need some money to go with that body, man.
Daniel just wanted to be like everyone. Everyone that wants the American dream.
All I ever wanted out of life was what everyone else had. Not more. Just not the less I was used to. Well, I took a real swing for it, you know? And for a while, it was like I always thought it would be. I was one of you. And it felt good. People finally saw me like I saw myself. And you can't ask for more than that. Maybe I did, though. Maybe it got so I didn't want to be equal to anymore. I wanted to be better then. And that's a recipe for injury. That doesn't mean you give up, though.
That's kind of cool.
You rest, you heal, and you get back on that bench. Life is going to give me another set, and I'm going to rock it. Because my name is Daniel Lugo, and I believe in fitness.
What does it mean to be an entrepreneur? In a world of inaction, over-promising and under-delivering. Every second, man seems to claim himself an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone that would never call himself an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone that is happy to work while all others are out partying. An entrepreneur's drug is success. He is addicted to success. And finally, the entrepreneur knows one simple fact. I will make it, maybe not immediately, but absolutely and definitely.
You have to hustle. You have to think outside of the box to make things happen when it seems impossibly difficult for anything to happen. To continue to get up off of the canvas when you are beaten down relentlessly.
Win or learn. I never lose. I will succeed, not immediately, but absolutely and definitely. I will take action when others hesitate. I will think big when others don't. I will sacrifice when others won't. I will dare to dream of greatness when others fear it. I will outwork my competition day and night. I am the captain of my fate, the master of my soul, the boss of my dreams, the king of my goals.
You have to be a leader, to be unique, to be hungry always, and never satisfied. Proud, but never satisfied. To be followed by the competition, to take criticism and negativity and use it to fuel your greatness, to survive the storms and the tough moments, to be humble in the good times. It is sacrificing your today for a better tomorrow. It is living a few years of your life like others won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like others can. That sacrifice, the dedication, the commitment, the discipline. Only rare human beings have these qualities. Only the very best among us. Then there's failure. Because we all know that it is coming, it is human nature. I mean, find me a successful human that has never failed. You can't, they don't exist. The only difference between the extremely successful among us in any field and the unknown, the only difference, the successful guy didn't give up. He found a way when there seemed to be no way. The other guy, he threw in the towel. Failure is simply learning another way not to do something. There are great lessons in failure.
When it comes to success, there is rarely ever a time when luck comes into play.
Hard work, however, always comes into play. There is no greater satisfaction in life than that of hard work paying off. No greater satisfaction than knowing you are self-made. Take action while all others are sitting on their hands. The great difference between the somebodies and the nobodies very often only comes down to who is willing to take action, who is willing to put in the work, the grind. Are you willing?
Some of you going to sleep and you don't deserve to be. You don't deserve rest. You lazy. You don't deserve rest. Rest is for people who work. You ain't doing nothing. Every day you chilling. You need to know your why, and my why wakes me up every single morning. You don't get it. Listen to me very closely. You can write everything down if you want to. Be brave enough to write every one of your goals down, but I'm going to tell you something. Life's going to hit you in your mouth and you got to do a huge favor. Your why has to be greater than that knockdown. At the end of your feelings is nothing. But at the end of every principle is a promise. Find a man who's diligent at what he does, and he shall stand before kings and not mean men. Every day you say no to your dreams, you might be pushing your dreams back a whole 6 months. That one single day, that one day you didn't get up, could have pushed your stuff back I don't know how long. The first level to success in life, listen to me, the very first level is you seeing it. Like it's clear to you. Like you know exactly what you want. You know exactly when you want it. Listen to me, you know exactly what it tastes like. You know what it looks like. You know what it smells like. Before you really blow up, and you get success, you literally have it in the palm of your hand without having it. I care about you. I'm telling you right now because I've been there. I've done that. You've been in it for 3 years and you're about to quit. You've been doing it for 5 years and it don't look like you think. You put all your money in it. You put all your time in it. People are looking at you crazy. 5 years you've invested. Oh, you put too much in it to quit now. And the problem with some of y'all is you want somebody else to support your dream. But this is my time. This is my moment. Tomorrow ain't no such thing as tomorrow. What does your dream look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? If you want it to happen, get your butt up and make it happen. If you want it to happen, rise and grind.
It's not up for you and I to do it. If it's harmful and they still want to do it, they are free to do it, right? I mean, you say that what people want to do in their bedroom, it's an individual choice. If women want to enter it, they want.
tell you. I believe that our men are here to grow themselves into the best good that they can be. At least this is what I want to do, and this is my belief that I'm supposed to grow to the best good that I can get to. And as I'm going there, becoming this, and when I become, if I ever become, this will just come out of the horn. So whatever that's going to be, that's what it will be. I'm not so much interested in trying to say what it's going to be. I don't know. But I just hope I realize that good can only bring good. I don't feel there's an answer to this. I think that it's just, it is either thing that the person who doesn't understand will understand in time, or upon repeated listenings, or it's a thing that he never will understand. And, that's the way it is. There are many things in life we don't understand. Right. And we go on anyway.
welcome to another Code Pen Radio, episode 199. We're going to be talking about the Code Pen Spark. So we just hit a bit of a milestone. I guess that's funny. I guess next episode of this show will be a bit of a milestone too, episode 200. But we've sent out our 100th. I was about to say episode, but I guess it's issue. We should call it of our email newsletter, the Code Pen Spark.
Yes.
So that's a milestone. It's almost 2 years. There being 52 weeks in a year. I guess it would be 104 would be an even 2 years, but it's pretty much 2 years.
We're getting there.
And you published on the blog a little retrospective of doing it, because it's really, you do the bulk of the work for this for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do I guess you could call me the editor of it, and I put together all the content for every issue and write all the descriptions, and I put it out every Monday. But the technical end of it obviously wasn't built by me, so nothing at CodePen's a solo project.
Yeah, certainly. It was one of those things where, I think in the early days we were like, we should have a newsletter. We would send out marketing emails once in a while, like little one-off marketing emails, which we don't do so much anymore, because it's not that, it's probably a mistake. We probably should, or a small team, and we've been trying to do it the correct business way, measure things and make sure we're not being obnoxious and or sending you emails that aren't effective anyway, so why bother, kind of stuff. But anyway, that was kind of before the Spark, and now if we have an announcement, we generally kind of ship it along with the Spark for the most part. Like if we had a really, really big announcement, we'd probably make an individual email for it. But if it's kind of just like, here's a minor new feature or something that you should know about, a lot of times that's a blog post that just kind of goes along with the Spark. And we know a ton of people get it. I mean, we have statistics for that kind of thing. We're literally send it over to over 1 million email addresses.
That's really exciting.
Isn't it? Yeah. It's just a massive kind of thing, which is great. And so in the early days, I think it was, I remember talking about the kind of the Code Drops Collective in the early days. They still produce that. It's a really nice email newsletter from the Code Drops team that has, it's like they publish it on the web as well, and there's an RSS feed for it, both a model which we followed. I feel aligned with that as a concept. If you're going to produce something that the primary idea is an email, well, it's still just HTML and CSS. You might as well kind of repurpose it and syndicate it in as many ways as you can. And so, but, they have kind of like on the web, it's kind of like a grid of here's an image and here's a title and a description, and it just wets your whistle a little bit. Like that's kind of the perfect format for a newsletter. We thought oh, cool. The title can catch you if the description might catch you, but certainly the graphic might catch you. It's just nice. So we, in a sense, our Spark is modeled after that in a way. And we're like, well, we have to do this programmatically. Like kind of, I don't know, having like a MailChimp template that you handwrite every week is fine. I'm sure tons of companies do it that way, and I do that for other types of newsletters. But this seems so much like a template, so formulaic in a way that programming it ourselves seems to kind of be the way. Gosh, I'm trying to think of how we did it in the earliest of days. Was it always an admin console?
Yeah, it always had some part of it inside the admin console, which is essentially like the back end of CodePen that we administrators of CodePen can access, but it's through the browser. It's not like command line-y stuff or anything like that. But yeah, we had to, I don't know if you remember doing this, but we used to have to upload the images directly to S3. Like we had to use Transmit to put them up and put the items in through the admin. I had to get a manual list of the jobs and meetups, which was always like the most time-consuming part of the whole thing.
Yeah, you kind of like handcrafted it out of HTML.
Yeah, exactly. So manually going in and getting all of those links when, sometimes the job board would be very large, or we'd have a ton of meetups, and that would actually turn out to be the most time-consuming part, because just copying in all those links and stuff. So it was very, very handcrafted in I'd say probably for the first, I don't know, probably first half of the issues, really.
Yeah, but I mean, we tried. I mean, there's manual elements to it, which is unfortunate. But we tried to automate some of it. So
yeah.
When I said admin console, we use we have various different, admin things, as I'm sure lots of like the SaaS products have, but one of them is just like this Rails gem we use that basically like hooks up to our database and provides a little like CRUD GUI for, inputting new stuff into a database table or editing the stuff that's there. And we're like, oh, well, we'll have a Spark and it's an issue, and an issue will have items, and items will have a title and a URL and a description and a URL for the image for the thing. And we just kind of manually fill that out. And then we'd, kind of hit publish on it, and that would populate, our Rails like view for the website. Mm-hmm. And then we wrote some kind of custom thing that would kind of like, I think that originally it was written in JavaScript. We'd publish it to the web first, and then it would like yank all that stuff and re-template it in like an HTML friendly way. Then we'd paste that HTML into a pen, right? That's where you edited your HTML stuff. Yep. And then we wrote another admin system that would pull the HTML from a pen and then you send it out, because we use, we have like a service we use for sending email that you can send it HTML and it'll blast out. So it was kind of like, it wasn't hodgepodge, but it was certainly, clipped together different pieces of it, all of which were an attempt to, make it so a little easier,
Yeah, I mean, I think it was our MVP of the Spark, which it certainly worked, but it had a lot of pain points to it, which we smoothed out later with the ETL build.
Right. And so if ETL is the first time you're hearing that acronym, that, we have some shows about that. We have now an ETL system at CodePen, and it's kind of another common thing that companies have, but it's kind of like a separate app almost for your site that grabs like a copy of your database and transforms in which to do other things. And a really common use case of it is to have it be the place that emails get sent from. Sometimes your app needs to access a database to get information out of it in which to send to an email. Like, oh, we need to send an email to this user. Well, we need the user's full name, so we have to ask the database for it. Well, why hammer your production database for that when you can have a database that's kind of optimized for that purpose? So that's what ETL is. And at one point, we're like, you know what? Let's just do the work here and make sure that ETL now sends every single email that CodePen sends. We don't want to have 3 different email services bolted together or anything like that. So we've done that. And ETL now sends 100% of all emails, whether they're transactional or marketing or the Spark or anything else. So that was just feels very good. But so that was one aspect of like kind of modernizing the Spark.
Right.
And then what?
Well, we added in the different interface for uploading all of the content. Like, we put everything all into one spot now. Instead of having to upload things to S3, we can upload the image and the description and everything all together at once through the ETL interface. And it's so much faster, so much easier. It pulls in all of the meetups automatically. It pulls in all of the job listings automatically, so we don't have to go in and grab those manually. I think once we put that up, it probably cut anywhere from like 15 to 30 minutes off of the preparation time for each Spark issue. So it saved me an incredible amount of time in my day on Mondays.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that stuff is important too, because it's not just raw minutes, because it kind of is. But sometimes, like if a process, especially a repetitive process, is too rote, that your motivation to do it just falls through the floor.
That's definitely true. Yeah, I've experienced that with some things.
Yeah, so you program your way out of it in a way. Mm-hmm. So we wrote, and we couldn't use the console thing. I forget the name of the gem, but it's just some very common like Rails gem for doing CRUD stuff. And we use it and like it for some things, because it's kind of like, oh, I just have a simple data structure. I just want like a free CRUD app for updating it. It's great for that. It's amazing. And we use that, but it's not super duper duper customizable. So we had this dream though, that like, okay, to add something to a Spark, a lot of times you start with a URL. You just like have a thing, and you want to, that's the root of what's going to be one of the things in the Spark. There's usually like 12 per issue, right?
Yeah, there's 12.
Like things we're trying to highlight. And it could be anything. It could be any URL, but we often like, it's it's the CodePen Spark. So we link to a lot of CodePen stuff. You grab the URL, and we're like, wouldn't it be nice if you could just paste it in there, and it would do a lot of the work for you. It'd pull the title and pull a description and pull an image if we had one and that kind of thing. And we built that out to some degree, and we had to build that kind of from scratch in a way. So that's kind of how it works. And then, you can just drag and drop an image onto it for that and adjust the description manually if you have to. And it kind of guesses what type of content it is, because we have that so that we can style it slightly differently if we need to. And so that system is just much more advanced now. And like you said, it kind of programmatically pulls other content that we need. And we have a special system for sponsors for it. It says, hey, we have an email that goes out to 1 million people. You want to sponsor it?
You can.
Please do. You can indeed. We have 2 sponsors per issue, ideally. And so that's all built in there. And now when it's kind of ready to go, we can, there's another little process for sending it, but it's certainly not as complicated as having to paste it into a pen and pull it from a pen. It's just all kind of baked into the universe of ETL. And when we designed ETL, we designed it with the Spark in mind. We knew that there was going to be transactional emails like, Sally hearted your pen, but there's also going to be this kind of different style of email called the Spark, and we roll with it.
Right, and we made it custom made to make the Spark easier to do. So it was really nice to be able to have worked with it long enough to be able to intelligently say, like, this is what we need to fix, this is what we need to do. And then when it was all put together, it really improved the whole experience for me.
Yeah, it's nice. So, and there's certainly more we can improve on it. Now that that's been out for a while, we could be like, hey, what else could we do to make this kind of even easier, or like what problems have we had for it with it? Could we prevent those problems in some way? And a lot of that can be done programmatically and with design.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And I'd say it's really been worth it for us to have a really strong email system. Is definitely like a competitive advantage for CodePen. I like to think of that stuff as a business owner. Like, wow, we have this great email system now. We hand wrote it, custom to our needs. Anybody else coming behind us or in our world, like that's you can I don't know. They won't necessarily have this incredible email system that we have. We put the effort into doing it. So, and then it's nice for, okay, we business-wise, we sell sponsors in it. Mm-hmm. That's great for us. But it's not just that. Of course, that's not the only reason to do it. In fact, we'd probably do it even if we decided not to have any sponsors in there at all, because it's great for engagement. It's great. Maybe some CodePen users, that's their only way they engage with CodePen that week, is they just enjoy getting that,
Yeah, I think the community value of it is amazing, and absolutely I would continue to make Sparks every week if we had no sponsors. I mean, it's great that we have sponsors. Thank you, sponsors. But the community aspect of it is so important. I think it gives people in the CodePen community exposure that's very useful for them. I've heard from people, that it made a difference that they had something in the Spark. They had a job interview and they happened to be in the Spark a week or two before that, and they could link to the page that it was on, because it is not just the email letter. It's also a living page that stays on CodePen, and they could show off that they were in the Spark. And it's always very exciting to me to see people realize that they're in the Spark. Like every Monday when the issue goes out and I'm looking on Twitter, I see people saying, "Oh, I'm in the Spark," and they're so excited. I'm just like, "Aw, that's awesome."
Yeah, it's the same. It's just like picked pens in a way. People like the exposure of being picked in a way, and you as well. They should. It's a well done.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah, the things that go into the Spark are things that we kind of like super picked. They come from our picks.
They are. That's a great way to look at it.
And it's the things that I think need to get a little bit more attention, or sometimes it's things that were not actually on CodePen itself, but were the CodePen community at large, like people's like YouTube videos or their Twitch streams, stuff that they post on Medium or dev.to. Mm-hmm. Those types of things I really like to include, because it shows people out in the world still using CodePen. It's not just all scoped inside of CodePen.io. It's everywhere. CodePen global.
Right. That was kind of the idea of it, is that we thought we'd do, like the best of the whole web kind of thing. And it turns out we do some of that, but it's generally CodePen focused, and I think that's kind of fine.
Yeah.
We don't link to like Firefox 62 was released with support for ClipPath.
Right, because that's web general. Really, this is CodePen community. Yeah, so we keep it focused in that
not
way.
That we couldn't do that someday, but that's not definitely.
We could, but I think that would be a drift from the topic of the newsletter.
But I mean, what else? I think I've heard you say that sometimes you pick things that maybe aren't even picks for some like really specific reason.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Like there's too much video, or it uses the camera, or there's some kind of that doesn't make for a good homepage pick, but is great for the Spark.
Yeah, there are certain things that occasionally I've at least once or twice picked something that is like Chrome only, and if you try to open it in Firefox, like your computer will catch fire type of thing, And being able to put it into the Spark with some context makes a lot of sense. Like, this is going to ask for your webcam, but you know that going into it. You're not going to necessarily know that if you're just browsing around on the homepage, or, this is Chrome only, or this is, or it's like a thing that you kind of need to get into and start using before you see what's cool. Like if the opening screen is just like click to start, and you might not jump in on that and engage with it on the homepage. But if I have started it and gone through it and taken a screenshot of the cool part and share that in the Spark, like that gets people to go check it out and enjoy the thing.
It's funny how it's like not, you'd think that the Spark and our social media stuff would be like attached at the hip too, like if we went through all the work of making one of our like custom tweets, which kind of, the ones that we author have somewhat of a formula, a lot of times we'll do like the title of the pen and then who it was by, a link to the pen, and then a video or image of it in a way, which we maybe we should switch it up at some point, but it's kind of like our format.
They go over pretty well. I wouldn't mess with it.
Yeah, no, and they're kind of easy to create because they have a bit of a formula, and they're just, they're usually pens that are just like, wow, you really got to see this, and it doesn't hurt to have a 20-second movie, that goes with it because it's just so great. But they're really unrelated. I mean, I'm sure that there's plenty of crossover just because we're, sometimes cool pens are cool pens, but a lot of times they're not like, if, we have like some abstracted system where you enter it and it goes both to the Spark and to social media in a way. Like maybe someday we could program that, but they're really not right now. And I think maybe that's okay, and that they're not, like there's maybe a reason to follow both, like just because you get the Spark.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea behind that, is that I like to make it so that if you're getting the Spark, it's not, oh, this stuff I saw on Twitter this week already, or, oh, I already saw all this on the CodePen Instagram. I want there to be a reason to follow us on Twitter, and a different reason or an additional reason to follow us on Instagram, and yet another reason to read the Spark. I want people to have reasons to engage with all of it and potentially follow all of them without getting bored. And so keeping the Spark, obviously the Spark has some of the highlights that we share on social media, but the Spark is its own thing, and I craft it intentionally to be the Spark. And I will leave off stuff that I knew was popular on Twitter, because I figure, a lot of people have already seen this. Let me highlight something else that was also cool that kind of flew under the radar while this other thing was blowing up.
I like that too, because if it's just hey, wherever you follow us, we basically regurgitate the same stuff in just different places, kind of thing. That's like a little less fun. Yeah,
that's boring. I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Yeah, and I guess we mentioned sponsorship in a way. We don't have to go deeply into that, but we kind of, we have help with that in a way. We use, this company, Buy Sell Ads, we partner with, has kind of a sub product in which that they kind of handle, advertisement that aren't sold like on a CPM or CPC basis or anything, that they're like date based, called syndicate ads. And so if you need to like, you're buying an ad for this newsletter that's published on, Monday, November 13th or whatever, that's the system that works for that. And that's nice because then it's kind of self-serve. So if somebody comes along, it's just like, I got a perfect sponsorship. I don't even want to like talk to anybody or deal with anything. I just want to like buy it and see how it goes. You can do that. You can just, go to our advertising page on CodePen. There's a little calendar of open dates for the Spark. You can click it and you can kind of self-serve yourself if you want. That is some percentage of our sales for the Spark. And then oftentimes they are packaged up, you know. I feel like that's almost more than half these days, or some kind of like partnership that we have with some company in which we're like, hi, how about we, you know, put you in these dates of this mark, and how about we do this podcast, and how about we do this some other stuff on some other sites, and kind of group it all up as a package.
Yeah. And when we get the ads from buy-sell ads, we get them through Gather Content, which has been actually an interesting learning curve to work with. I had a little bit of a struggle with the recent update of Gather Content, but actually I've gotten into the swing of things now.
Yeah, it's a weird app. I wonder how they're doing or what. It's fascinating to me, really. It seems like a kind of an app that, like, in another lifetime I'd like to take a crack at building, in a way, because it's kind of like, it's great for someone like me who runs a blog too, who like has drafts of blog posts, and those blog posts have dates associated with them, but almost more importantly, they're in different states. Like, they're just a draft, or it's a draft that needs a review and sign off from people, and then gives you a chance to talk about and comment on things, but also edit things. And then, you know, then it becomes like ready for publication, then it's published, then it's completed. You have these different states, but it's all kind of customizable too. It actually turns out, for being just like a thing where you put some content and talk about it, it's pretty complicated.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in there, and I can see where it would have to be pretty different for all kinds of different use cases. It's a real interesting app. And of course, we can't go through an episode of CodePen Radio without mentioning Notion.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which is where we have our spreadsheet with all of the upcoming issues, and we manage all of our upcoming ads in there, just so we know, like, at a glance, like, what's already sold, what's coming up. And when we have something that we've sold, like, directly, we put all the information in there so that we have it ready for ourselves to put out in the next issue. Of course, Notion always saving the day for us here.
Yeah, that's great. The kind of when they launched that table views, basically was really the clutch move for Notion.
Yep.
Publishing schedule. That's cool. And so, you know, and also, so we, you know, I said we kind of don't use admin console anymore for the Spark, because we ended up building our own thing. But it is in the same kind of spirit and vein of that. We do sometimes be like, gosh, you know what really makes sense to be structured data? This part of CodePen or something. We'll often launch something like kind of like a MVP almost. Like, let's do this the easiest possible way. And usually the easiest possible way is just handwrite HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for something, you know, like, hey, we need a landing page. Don't overthink it. Just design it up, you know? And then maybe if you have enough of them over time, you abstract it into some kind of CMS system or something, you know? That's happened to us just a zillion times over on CodePen.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of just did that with the challenges too. We had started out with a very manual process for challenges, and we've very recently put together a sped up workflow through the admin console that actually, I think, borrows in some ways from how we made the new Spark.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is now our brains thinking that way. We're like, oh, okay, well,
yeah.
Instead of, you know, now we're 9 months into doing challenges or wherever we are, we've settled into a groove here. There's a month has a theme. There's 4 weeks. Each week has a sub theme based on that theme. There's a sponsor for the month. There's kind of, you know, you think in structured data that way, and it all kind of settles out. Every week there's 3 ideas and 3 resources and a graphic that represents it and all that. So we're like, hey, why don't we just, you know, make a new MySQL table that represents that there's months and there's weeks, and they can be associated with each other, and then rock and roll. And so I kind of floated that idea past Tim, you know, like, hey, can you make me a table kind of thing? And he, you know, was happy to do that. So we thought out that data structure a little bit, because usually when you have your front end guy like me to do something like that, it's I'm not going to quite understand the nuances of how the data is connected, and I certainly didn't. He had to clean that up a bunch. But it was cool because we've also talked about GraphQL here on this podcast, so it was kind of his opportunity to be like, hey, do you want to integrate this into our GraphQL setup so that our GraphQL internally will spit out challenges stuff? That gives me the opportunity to design the challenges pages in React and do a little React routing for the different pages of it, and Claire got to do some, she already had some new designs for it, but we got to port them over into React stuff. So it was just an interesting thing to watch. I know that's not what this exact podcast episode is about. Maybe we can talk about that later, but it was like,
totally,
this is going to serve new CodePen, and it's just nice. It touched on a lot of future points for us.
These content things kind of inform each other. We learned a lot from doing the Spark. We're learning things from doing challenges. We'll probably take some lessons we've learned from challenges and port them back into the Spark too. So they all kind of feed each other.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because of course, we can look at this and see the things that are wrong from the outset. I remember when we built, for example, speaking of the Spark and the new system we have for managing the Spark, we're like, you know what, our admin, our like handwritten back end to CodePen, where we do stuff like, I don't know, search for users and do stuff like that. We just wrote it by ourselves and just hand CSS to the whole thing, but we did not polish it. It looks like garbage in there. We're like, we'll just barf it out into a table. Maybe we'll clean it up some other day, but it's hard to prioritize your internal tooling,
Sure, yeah, that's a big problem.
Not a disaster. It's just not great, And so we're like Jake at one point. Oh, R.I.P. Jake.
He did no, not R.I.P.
Was like, we should just use like a CSS framework for this, and he was right. We probably should have done that all along. Like, just bootstrap this thing. Who cares? That's what Bootstrap is great at, But we didn't. But when he built this new thing, he did. I think he's Bulma or something, and it's totally better. But we didn't have the time to then rewrite the whole admin in it. So now we have admin console, which looks different than our handwritten admin, which looks different from Jake's little Bulma middleman thing, and now we have 3 different backends, and you're like, oh god.
It's funny, I'm so used to it because I'm in there all the time, but then as we've had new people join CodePen and then I gotta show it to them, I'm like, okay, actually this is extremely weird back here.
Yeah, but he did use Bulma, I think, also, or one of these named frameworks. Maybe it was, I can't remember.
That sounds right, yeah.
For ETL. And so, if we were to actually correctly rewrite admin with Bulma, then it would be nice because it would look just like ETL, and that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, well, read the Spark.
Yes.
And
sponsor it.
Tell us what you like about the Spark.
Love it,
And here's a little hot tip for people who are listening this long into the show. If you want to get into the Spark, one of my deciding factors, I'll pick more than 12 things for each issue. I'll have a list of stuff. I'll have 14, 15, and only 12 of them make it in. And very often, the deciding factor is a really good description from the person who made the pen.
Yeah.
So fill in your description field if you want to get into the Spark. It'll give you a good chance.
Yeah, do that. That's a great tip. I'll give you 2 more if you're listening this far into the show too. We mentioned jobs and meetups. One of them, we have a job board. If you're looking for a job, obviously check it out. But if you're a company that's hiring, why don't you try it too? And that we've kind of had this long-standing offer, which I thought we would just put up and then take down. But it turns out I don't mind that this is kind of a forever offer. If you want to use it for free, just email me. You can email me directly, chris@codepen.io, and I'll hook you up with a coupon that allows you to use it for free. The deal is just try it and tell us how it worked for you. And then if if it worked good and you want to do it again, then you got to pay for it. But the first one, just email me and I'll give you a code and you can just do it for free. Because we like having good jobs on there, and surely your company is a great place to work. And then meetups wise, remember that anybody can do that. We don't hand pick people around the world to throw meetups. Fortunately, they come to us, and that's very nicely self-selecting system. You want to, you're probably kind of awesome if you want to throw a CodePen meetup in your town. We'll work with you and we'll let you know what we expect from you and what you expect from us, or can expect from us for throwing a meetup. We got a whole system for it. We have a mini CMS for handling it.
We do.
And we'll help you get it done if you want to have a meetup in your city, That's right. That's it, I guess. Good job for promoting things, Self.
We did it. we did it on the podcast. Amazing.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, see you next time.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Seven 6 0 3 1 8 6 0 Today on CodePen Radio.
Hey, everybody, time for another CodePen Radio. In the grand tradition of everybody who's ever been hired at CodePen, we do an introduction podcast introducing this new member of CodePen, and that's exactly what we're doing this week. We have Stephen Shaw. Hey, Stephen, how are you?
Hello. Doing well.
Welcome to the show. And to CodePen itself, we are, as we record this, are quite literally in the first week you've ever worked here.
That is true. My very first week.
It's true. And it's so far, not that we'd ever expect any less or anything, but I'm surprised at how smart people are. Maybe we're just so exciting or so lucky at getting good people, or so incredible in our hiring choices, or what. But it's like I always expected. I feel like if I started at some new job, I'd be like, I need like 2 months to get acclimated. But that was
don't sell yourself short.
No, that was not the case for Mr. Stephen here. You have a ton of coding experience and has hopped right into our code base and is just being super productive and helpful immediately. In fact, we're going to push out some code later this afternoon that was kind of co-written by a bunch of us, including Mr. Stephen. So what's up? I think how did this even start? Like, did I just reach out to you? That's kind of been my strategy lately. Like, hey, you want to work at CodePen?
It's a good strategy. That's a great opening line. It probably started going down about two months ago, something like that.
Yeah, so that's pretty quick in the grand scheme of going from wanting to hire somebody to being in the door. Pretty rapid.
Wasn't too bad of a process at all.
I mean, internally, I think this is probably common at any company, is that you, at some point, you maybe like kind of run out of like ideas on your like home Rolodex of people that you want to work, and thus use a job board. CodePen as a job board. Use our job board. It's great. You want to use it for free? Email us. Ask us to use the job board. It's lined up some really great hires with some really great companies, and we've used our own job board a number of times. But I would say that people tend to use the job board after the Rolodex has been flipped through entirely. I think it's preferable sometimes, because the second you use the job board posting, you need to be prepared for, well, you're going to get an influx of emails of people applying for that job. And that's nice, and that's what you wanted, but that's becomes somebody's job. Like, that's a big deal to have to go through all of those filter. Because assuming you're not a dick, you have to really read and digest all of them and give them a proper response and let them know about the hiring schedule, and even if you're passing on them maybe light feedback as to why and that kind of stuff. That's a fire hose that if you can avoid because you found somebody in your Rolodex that you already know that you like, that's the kind of the way to go. And that's kind of what happened here. And I guess you were in that Rolodex. I've said the word Rolodex way too many times here. I'm going to stop saying it. It's over. I'm not saying it anymore. But we're there because you're a kind of a somewhat long-time CodePen community member, yeah?
Yeah. I've been on CodePen since at least 2013, I think is my first pen on there. And then within my first 20 pins, I had one that I went viral, as the kids say.
Yeah, which one was it?
That was my absolute centering one. So at the time, I didn't know there was any connection between CSS tricks and CodePen.
Wow.
But I made a CSS trick on CodePen and then tweeted it to you guys, and y'all retweeted it, and it got like 200 likes, which was mind-blowing at the time.
Yeah.
For 2013 Twitter, Stephen. And then Smashing Magazine ended up picking it up, and it ended up being a published article and in an ebook eventually, and all this just from a CodePen that I got out there. And that was super exciting at the time.
That's a great story. So it really kind of I don't know, snowballed into a bunch of different stuff. Look at this. It uses Modernizer to see if things work. And holy cow, this is definitely a sign of the time. How does it work? How does it work?
So this was this is a trick that's still worthwhile. So if you just Google absolute centering, you'll stumble across it. Basically, position absolute, and then setting all the top, left, bottom, right, and left,
to 0.
To 0, and then margin auto. As long as the element has a fixed width and height, it'll be centered. So images, SVG works really great for, and then content with even percentage width and height.
Not bizarre. The part that's bizarre about it is the top 0, left 0, bottom 0, right 0. Like, why does that? What does that do if it's not along that line anyway?
So that's just setting the bounds that it's going to be centered within.
Right.
So it's based on the parent, the offset parent. But within that offset parent, you can actually use that top, left, and
you can put if you wanted to have the bound. Like, it's just you don't think of top being used as a boundary generally,
right?
But in this case, it does do that. So that's a cool trick. I kind of half expected it to be the one where you use translate to pull it back half of its own width or whatever.
Yeah, that was around at the time, but the browsers, back in 2013, they still had a lot of rendering bugs with transform, especially with text.
It might have been a little blurry.
And the blur, yeah. So that was the biggest disadvantage of it at the time. And then the margin auto trick, absolute centering, it actually goes back to like IE 7 or something like that.
Oh yeah, it's like super old school. So it not only works in all browsers, but doesn't have any side effects.
Yeah, and
this is no joke of a pen too. It'd be one thing if you just absolutely centered a box in the middle of the screen and had some CSS you could copy, but that's not what this is at all. This is like digs into all the browsers that they supported and what the caveats are, and it explains it and has different demos. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this was before CodePen had posts, but this would have, totally fit in with what CodePen posts became.
I wouldn't doubt that we looked at this and things like it when we were making the posts feature, because we're like, look, people are doing this anyway, Cool. Well, wow. Absolute centering. So that went well for you, and then kind of like, I don't know, that's cool.
Yeah, it helped me. It helped me realize that CodePen was a community, that it wasn't just a scratch pad for putting out little demos. It was actually a great place to get some interaction, get some feedback, and people responded to CodePen stuff. So that just kind of kickstarted my mind in terms of, okay, well, what else can I do with this, and how can I be a part of this community, and started making more demos and sharing things from there. So that was a big turning point.
That's great. And there's been, I don't know, it looks like you notes here that you've kind of, were you an animator back then, or did animation come
I was just starting in terms of web animation. In 2013, I just moved over to agency work, so I was starting to get into a lot of flashy websites, not literal Flash, Adobe Flash, but making websites that actually had some fun elements to them, and nice interactions, good user experience, and all of that. And so animation started becoming more a part of that, and I would usually use CodePen to prototype that. I think most of my first 20 to 50 pins were just prototyping some client stuff. And
nice, yeah. I think we see that pretty commonly, or and it's nice for us, at CodePen itself, to kind of not forget about that. That even while it's people aren't maybe making the full client site on CodePen, that a lot of, like, for example, client sites are kind of begin life there, or little pieces and parts of them begin life there because of its prototyping capability and whatnot,
And now with web development overall becoming a lot more componentized, prototyping in this kind of environment totally makes sense, because you can then easily import it into your project, or export it and start working with it.
This episode of CodePen Radio is brought to you by Jetpack. That's jetpack.com. It's a WordPress plugin, for your self-hosted WordPress site that brings tons of power from the WordPress.com universe over to your self-hosted site. So they're massive hosting infrastructure and all that. But it's not just about the power. It brings like this wealth of different features to your site. So, backups is one of them that we've talked about. Social media integration is one we've talked about. I just used a feature of Jetpack just the other day that I had never used before, but found it to be tremendously useful in the moment. One is that, I just had a movie sitting on my desktop. I record little movies all the time for something to, just explain a bug. Or at CodePen, we use little short movies to post to Instagram, to post to social media of people's interesting work on CodePen. Anyway, I all the time have little video clips that I want to use for something, and they vary. Sometimes you shoot a really quick clip, and it's tiny. It's like 800 kilobytes or something, which for a video is really small. Or sometimes it's like 15 megabytes or hundreds of megabytes or something. You might know that on a self-hosted WordPress site, there has something to do with your host and your PHP settings and all that stuff. There's like a maximum upload size for images and video, and if you drag something too big on there, you just get like a warning in WordPress. It's like, that's too big. You can't upload that. It's above the setting that we allow. And that's fine. It's just that, okay, if it's a big image, find somewhere else to host it or shrink it down. It's just kind of a warning. Maybe you can get around it by making it smaller. But if it's a video, maybe I'll put it on YouTube or whatever, but what should I do? Make it unlisted, and then there's that whole rigmarole for uploading it there. No, Jetpack brings WordPress.com video hosting, which is super fast, has a really nice player, it's totally ad-free. They have their own WordPress video player, and you can just use it if you have Jetpack on your site. And there's, the uploading limit isn't there. So you go into WordPress.com, open the media uploader for your site there, and drag and drop your larger movie file there. And then it's just automatically in the same media picker thing on your self-hosted WordPress site. So you're I was working on a Gutenberg site, and I made a new Gutenberg block for a video, uploaded on WordPress.com, but then picked the movie out of the image player there, and it just worked great. It just looked like every other video on the site. It's just that one was hosted on WordPress's servers with Jetpack's thing. It was great. It was just a nice little feature, and I was like, that works. I can use it because I have Jetpack. So thanks, Jetpack. So the animation, I asked about that specifically because that became a big deal because fast forward all the way to the recent history, have this show that you do with Mr. David called The Keyframers.
Yeah, we started that early this year, and every week we just get together with CodePen collab mode for the most part, and we're just prototyping some animations and making fun things, and we stream that all live on Twitch.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good format for Twitch.
It's so fun to watch. Yeah, it's awesome. It's so great to see live coding, especially with animation. It's just such an intriguing thing to watch a person go through the thought process, collaborate with someone else just right in front of you. I love it.
The two people thing is a nice trick in that it's just almost always more fun to watch people interact than somebody just and then on line 7.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. And they have a nice rapport too.
Well, that was a definite gap that we noticed with anyone that was live streaming code. It was all kind of solitary for the most part. They'd have some community interaction there, but that can be kind of hard to watch. But with making it a more collaborative experience, you get different mindsets approaching the same problem. And you get that interaction between that, in addition to the interaction with the community. So that was a big part of why we decided to move forward with that.
Nice, and I mean maybe a little bit before that, but you're in Houston, right?
Correct.
There's a CodePen Houston as well, right?
Yeah. Well, started that this year. I hosted the first couple at my agency job. Mainly to get connections locally. There's not a whole lot of a development scene in Houston, despite its big size. I mean, we're 4th, 5th largest in the U.S.
You never know how that goes. It's so funny. It's like I live here in Bend now, and I feel like we have a pretty okay little development scene. And I moved from Milwaukee, which is 10 times bigger or more, and it seems like we couldn't get anything going hardly there. So it's like not the size of the city. It's just very weird.
Yeah, and there are a ton of developers in Houston. I mean, most people work in at some oil and gas kind of company, but there is a significant population of developers. It's just nobody's really organized. So we started doing a CodePen meetup, and only done it a couple times so far this year, but that was a super fun experience.
You've had a good turnout at those. I remember sending quite a bit of swag.
Yes, we were hoping for a lot more, and then the registration was very high, but the actual attendance was not those numbers.
Yeah.
So that was something we were trying to figure out.
That's the normal outcome of a thing,
Totally.
and there's no. I find that the percentage of signups to attendees is not a global constant, and that it's really a city constant. I find it's more likely that if you found 5 meetups in the same city, and they would say like, oh, we get 75% or 60% or 90% or whatever, that those meetups in the same city would have about the same percentage. But across cities, it's very different. And I just remember doing a CodePen meetup in Washington, D.C., it was kind of the opposite, that not that many people register for the thing, but they would just show up. And so it was opposite. More people came than registered.
Yeah, you're right. That really varies by city.
Yeah, and it's a tough problem to have either way, just for trying to plan. But
click the button, people, and then come if you do. There used to be this classic, like you just charge them $1, and then that number gets a lot more accurate. Sweet. So then obviously we just knew you from being a CodePen community member and from the Keyframers and from throwing a meetup, and it just seems like that obviously puts you on the Rolodex. I said I wasn't going to say
it,
but
again.
I did, and then
ding ding.
But it's because it's like you can kind of clearly tell from the show. It's nice when you know what people's skill set is already a little bit, because you're like, oh, I can watch them zoom around CSS and clearly know what they're talking about, and I can watch them reach for modern APIs and know what they're doing with them. That's nice. So we just asked if it was good timing, and it sounded like it kind of was, and we moved along with it. So that was that kind of thing. But there was a process still. It's we've never hired anybody. We've never made somebody an offer without an interview. I don't know that happens. So there's still a kind of an interview process.
Yeah, and at my last job, agency job, I was going through the hiring process as well, like trying to bring some additional help in there. And you were talking about just being able to see what somebody's capable of before you're even reaching out or doing anything like that. And honestly, CodePen profiles were a huge asset for that. Just being able to see what people are tooling around with and what they like to do, and then what they are currently capable of. So that was something we used a ton. And then CodePen hiring process, y'all obviously had a lot of that on me already. So starting out the
Nice
initial
job, man.
conversations,
Good
it was more
win.
like, hey, is this a nice fit? Is this something that we're all interested in doing? And from there.
Yeah, and you'd think, I don't know, maybe CodePen has some
Bowling Jim with the
interesting
carry.
hiring
Bad
process
Bob,
where we
tell your lunch, my
make
guy. I
you
think you
use
followed me
CodePen in
attention
some
to
way.
make
We
my
don't
turn.
really,
Much love, man. Thank you, man.
it's
Thank
mostly just, I think every one of these is different. I'd like to, if we were under the, if we had
I just gotta run
hiring
back real
20
quick,
people or
FPS
something,
sec.
which we can't possibly see the day. We'd probably have a much more solidified process,
GG
but
2000
we're
really
kind of
pretty
slowly
good.
trying to get there, have more of a thing that matches our vibe a little bit. We've done, I think it's been different for every single person we've hired, but it's
That's
almost
what scared me
too
was-
bad Alex
and then
isn't
Tim
on this
got-
one, because
Tim
he
got
had
shot and- Yeah, he got hit beside
Cassidy
him
had
back.
her own idea of a thing to do, and Alex had an idea, and I just remember Alex's sentiment is like, I want to make this like kind of hard, like intentionally weird and intentionally hard, not because just to be like, this is a hard technical interview. How many marbles fit in a bus or whatever? But it was, but like, because then limit the time a little bit. So you can kind of see how they would think about a weird, hard problem, because CodePen has a bunch of weird, hard problems that the day-to-day at CodePen is like, oh man, that one was weird. It just so happens that CodePen has a pretty darn complicated app, and
it's not your typical website.
All kinds of interesting problems to solve here, and they're getting it's not getting any simpler. So I think he was like a tic-tac-toe game or something that was out. This big plan.
Yeah. So I went through a couple of conversations with different members of the team, and then got all the way to Alex and was talking with him a bit about the technical side of things, and then he sent me over a challenge to build tic-tac-toe, but with some cross-tab communication. So that was actually the simple part. The difficult part was the tic-tac-toe logic. I mean, think about all the different states you're compensating for, and the different ways.
I don't think that was the intention at all. I thought it was. In his mind, I'm pretty sure that the weird like local storage API thing was the hard part, but maybe not.
Yeah, I mean that I had done not due to any technical prowess of mine, but just the simplicity of that was actually pretty straightforward. But yeah, just trying to make sure that all of the rows and columns were calculated for, and alternating turns and all that kind of stuff.
I remember looking at the solution; it was pretty elegant.
Yeah, it turned out nice.
I think it was because sometimes we use local storage for stuff. Oh, but I don't think a lot of people know that there's like an API for local storage that fires when local storage like in another tab changes local storage. So there's like a weird on-change event for local storage. I didn't know that existed, but it was It was to simulate like, well, we don't use local storage in that way that often, but we do use stuff like Firestore, Firebase, whatever, that have like a real-time component to it. So it'd be nice if you're like aware of this kind of like network and state-related network-y type stuff. That's pretty CodePen-y.
Yeah, and what you're passing, to the other session and all that, and validating that. That was a big part of it as well.
Yeah, so that was that, and that was kind of the last-ish thing. I mean, maybe there was a little bit more after that, but usually you do the, like any company probably, you do the kind of like, I don't know, feel each other out, kind of almost like culture fitty type of interviews first. Like, hi, do you know about CodePen? Do you like CodePen? Do we think you're gonna fit here in a good way? Kind of that stuff. Because if you do that first interview and it's bad, then you're just like, all right, well, at least we didn't have to look at their tic-tac-toe code.
Yeah, it's usually good to weed out the personality fit first.
Yeah. What was it? It's been like for you, Marie?
Well, for me, it actually hasn't been. I haven't done a whole lot yet. We just had one, probably like hour-long session where I showed him around the support world and the social media world, and I had actually already had him on the podcast, so I didn't have to talk too much about that.
Oh, that's right. There was a Keyframers podcast.
Yeah, and so he's already got a great setup there. I did find out that he is a cat person, so finally there's another cat person on the team. It's just been me this whole time. So
Claire's just cat sitting.
Claire is only cat sitting, but you know what that leads to. So we'll see. But yeah, it was just a very brief session, but we actually kind of already knew each other a little bit because I'd had him on the show, and also we've worked together on meetups in the past.
Yeah, okay, sweet. And that's kind of our first week onboarding is usually like, okay, dev environment first because you're a developer, so that just needs to be working and takes X amount of time, But that's been surprisingly smooth. I wonder if we should do a podcast.
Maybe you're right.
But not sometimes. Our like little setup is pretty slick these days. Other than the very first, like the setting up the computer is harder than setting up the dev environment. So
yeah. Tim did a great job on that, fortunately. So I didn't have to mess around too much. I was pretty much able to get started right away.
And we do it all do it all fancy. I don't know. We'll save it. We'll save it. And then, they have the new employees talk to everybody-ish on the team, to not just say hi, but just be like, this is what my world is like on CodePen is kind of the gist of it. And then we just go from there. We do a lot of quickie individual meetings. Is it like a work thing that happens at CodePen? Or maybe it's just me, but we only have one official meeting, and then the week is just sprinkled with it's tempting to call it pairing because sometimes it is, but I feel like pairing has like an industry meaning that is different than how we do it.
We're zooming. That's what we do. We zoom.
Yeah. We zoom a lot.
Well, there's the remote equivalent of stopping by somebody's desk to ask a question.
That's it, right?
Do a quick phone call, and then there's just the pairing, as you're saying, just working through a technical problem together, and finding the gaps in what needs to be done still.
So how's it been for you?
It's been a good transition. It's very much drinking from the fire hose at this point, just trying to get acclimated with the stack and the different approaches that y'all take to things, and just getting deeper into React land and all that craziness. But it's been smooth.
Yeah, it's kind of new to us too, because we're in the midst of all of our projects. And we've talked about this before on the show. I think a little that where anything new that we make in CodePen is kind of in the new stack. In the new stack, even evolves a bit, but it's all React and GraphQL and all that, as you know from previous shows. So we're trying to not only do that, but do it with all the years of experience on CodePen that we already have, and knowing like what types of mistakes that we've made in the past and try to not make them, and that we're our own bosses, so we can kind of go slow in that we don't have like a client deadline is what I mean by the boss thing. So we can kind of like make sure that we're doing things correctly and stuff. And so it's funny though. It's funny timing to be on where we're not just like, this is how it's done. Be like, hey, we're trying to figure out how to get it done, but do it.
Well, I think that's helpful, to come in at that time, because I can help shape things, and everybody else is kind of learning as they go too. So yeah, I think that'll be a good setup.
Well, that's cool. It's interesting to know. I mean, I don't know how much else you have to say, but it's funny to. It'd be interesting to compare things. Like I haven't gotten like a backstage look at how other companies or agencies or of any kind workflow is like. Like do we do good, or are we dinosaurs in our thing? Like is our tooling weird? Are we?
Yeah, coming from an agency, it's hard to directly compare. A product versus just churning out client sites is just a very different process. There's so much more long-term thinking with everything implemented at CodePen versus the client has a deadline and we've got to get it out no matter what at that point. So yeah, it's hard to speak too much into that.
Yeah, I bet. Well, we need to take a little trip to Silicon Valley or something and peek in all these different offices and just take a screenshot of their doc. That's why we have Marie, to make sure we don't make dumb choices.
I mean, I do my best.
We do need to get reined in. Everybody's job is to get the lasso out. All right, sounds good. I think what's next is just we'll keep checking in. The format of the show is we have topics, and then whoever's available and is the best person to kind of speak about that topic is who comes on the show. Marie is the producer of it, so she will continue doing that.
Yes,
and it's going to be great. And I guess we're going to have episode number 200 in 2 episodes. So
yeah, it won't be long.
Who knows what we'll do there?
An extravaganza, I'm sure.
Extravaganza. Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Morty, you gotta, come on. You gotta come with me.
What, Rick?
That's all. These halves don't belong together, bitch. Sex is sacred. This is because you don't get Morty Smith good grades, bitch.
Oh! Don't be a baby. You avoid getting shot in real life all the time, Morty. Just do the same thing here and we'll be fine.
Now, bring me my slippers.
Now, be my footstool, Snuffles.
This is what I'm talking about. This is a dog.
Oh, yeah.
That's
only the 8th birdie of the day. What? Why are you looking at me? You want to go outside? 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 Are you kidding me? Come on!
Oh my god.
Well, what's wrong?
Your idiot dog!
Oh, he didn't mean it, Dad. Did you, Snuffles? You're a good boy.
Don't praise him now, Morty. He just peed on the carpet. Bad dog. Bad.
Morty, come on. I need your help tonight.
Hey, wait. Hold on a second, Rick. You wouldn't by any chance have some sort of crazy science thing you could whip up that might help make this dog a little smarter?
The point of having a dog was to feel superior, Jerry. If I were you, I wouldn't pull that thread. Come on, Morty.
Listen, Rick. If you're gonna stay here rent-free and use my son for your stupid science, the least you could do is put a little bit of it to use for the family. Make that dog smart, or Morty's grounded.
Oh, man.
Boy, you really got me up against the wall this time, Jerry. All right, Ruffles. What's his name?
Snuffles.
Snuffles. Shake. Roll over. Go to the bathroom.
No way.
Yeah, you're at the top of your game now, Jerry. Have fun. Come on, Morty.
That was fantastic, Rick.
Yeah, Morty, if you like that. Boy, you're really gonna flip your lid over this one.
Whoa. What is it?
It's a device, Morty. That when you put it in your ear, you can enter people's dreams, Morty. It's just like that movie that you keep crowing about.
You talking about Inception?
That's right, Morty. This is gonna be a lot like that, except, you know, it's gonna maybe make sense.
Inception made sense?
You don't have to try to impress me, Morty. Listen, tonight we're gonna go into the home of your math teacher, Mr. Goldenfold. And we're gonna incept the idea in his brain to give you A's in math, Morty. That way you can... You know, you're gonna help me with my science, Morty, all the time.
Jeez, Rick, in the time it took you to make this thing, couldn't you have just, you know, helped me with my homework?
Are you listening to me, Morty? Homework is stupid. The whole point is to get less of it. Just, come on, let's just get over there and deal with this thing. Except your teacher, you're frustrating me.
You don't know me.
Nice, Mrs. Pancakes. Real nice.
Next week on the Days and Nights of Mrs. Pancakes.
You don't know me.
Then let me get to know you, damn it.
Uh-oh, spoilers. I'm a full season behind.
Wow, Rick. I can't believe we're sitting around standing around in Mr. Goldenfold's house. It's really weird.
It's about to get a whole lot weirder, Morty.
Wheat Thins. Wheat Thins?
I'll take 2.
Oh, I think you've had enough, sir.
You don't know me.
All right, Morty, time to make our move.
Make it happen.
Oh, you better stop with that.
Allah Akbar! We're gonna take control of this plane. We're gonna 9/11 it unless Morty Smith gets better grades in math. Hey, I said nobody move, buddy.
The name's not Buddy.
It's Goldenfold. Nice to meet you.
Take cover, Morty! Goldenfold's got more control here than I anticipated. I mean, the guy teaches high school math. I didn't take him for an active dreamer. We gotta take him out so he wakes up, Morty. But we can't get killed. If you get killed in someone else's dream, you die for real, Morty.
What? Are you kidding me? Oh!
Don't be a baby. You avoid getting shot in real life all the time, Morty. Just do the same thing here and we'll be fine.
Now, bring me my slippers.
Now, be my footstool, Snuffles.
This is what I'm talking about. This is a dog.
Oh, yeah, this should play out just fine.
You said the same thing, equally sarcastically, at our wedding, and guess what?
Oh my god, he's trying to tell us something. That is so awesome.
Oh, he's saying I love lasagna.
He's saying I love Obama. So cute. I'm posting this online, like, right now.
I should call Bob Saget. Is that still a thing? Oh?
Goldenfold, we're coming out. We just want to talk.
Why would I negotiate with you?
Because we're both rational adults that don't want anything bad to happen. And because I have a human shield.
Mrs. Pancake!
Oh no, Morty. The subconscious is panicking.
Run!
Relax, Morty. Look, Mrs. Pancakes has a parachute. Come on.
Hey, you don't know me.
Oh no, Rick, look! Goldenfold landed the plane, and he's created a mechanical arm to pluck Mrs. Pancakes out of the air while he lets us fall into a giant vat of lava!
Pretty concise, Morty. Looks like we've merely prolonged the inevitable. That's it, Morty. Prolonging the inevitable. Listen, if we go into Mrs. Pancake's dream, everything will go 100 times slower, Morty. That'll buy us some time to figure this out.
You don't know me.
All right, let's go.
Oh man, Rick, this is pretty weird.
Don't judge, Morty.
Okay, all right, well, look, Mrs. Pancakes is right over there. I'll just go ask her to tell Goldenfold not to kill us when she wakes up.
Whoa, whoa, Morty! The trick to incepting is making people think they came up with the idea. Listen to me. If we're gonna incept Mrs. Pancakes, we have to blend. I'll talk to you after lunch.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. No.
Oh, come here.
No, thanks.
Oh, wow. Come over here, baby.
No, I'm okay. Whoa. Summer?
Hey there, stranger. What do you think of these things?
Oh, gross.
Whoa. What's the matter with you, Morty? Calm down. You're kind of killing the vibe in here.
It's Summer.
Oh, jeez. Looks like Goldenfold has some predilections so shameful he buries them in the dreams of the people in his dreams, including a pervy attraction to your underage sister.
Can you... You blame him? Come on, old man, little boy. Let's make an intergenerational sandwich.
Oh my God, put some clothes on, for the love of God!
For Pete's sake!
This is disgusting!
I can't
I'm gonna puke!
it.
I swear to God, I'm gonna puke!
Sexual hang-ups in the pleasure chamber are punishable by death! Off with their heads!
Time to go another dream deep, Morty.
What the hell? Why would Mr. Goldenfold's dream version of Mrs. Pancakes' dream version of a centaur be dreaming about a scary place like this, Rick?
Jeez, I don't know, Morty. What do you want from me?
Welcome to your nightmare, bitch.
Oh, here we go. Looks like some sort of legally safe knockoff of an 80s horror character with miniature swords for fingers instead of knives.
I'm Scary Terry. You can run, but you can't hide, bitch.
Whoa, hey, buddy. What you got going on there?
Snuffles fix. Make better. Humans understand Snuffle. No.
That is awesome.
Snuffles want to be understood. Snuffles need to be understood.
Okay, yeah, I get what Beth was talking about. Fun's over.
Whoa, Dad, you can't, like, endow a creature with sentience and then rip it away.
Why not?
I don't know. It's Indian giving?
A sophisticated predator, nature's perfect killing machine, the vicious wolf, stalks its prey with purpose and skill. It was only with years of selective breeding and genetic altering that this noble beast was transformed into man's subservient little buddy.
Oh my god, he recognizes the other dogs on TV.
We have to escape into someone else's dreams, Morty. The little girl.
It's getting late. It's nearly like 1 a.m.
This again? Oh man, it looks like we've hit dream bedrock here, Morty.
Oh jeez, Rick. Whoa, this isn't good.
Nothing but fear from here on out, bitch.
Holy crap, Morty. He can travel through dreams. He can travel through dreams. We're so screwed.
Where are my testicles, Summer? Where are my testicles, Summer? They were removed. Where have they gone?
Oh, wow. That's an intense line of questioning, Snuffles.
Do not call me that. Snuffles was my slave name. You shall now call me Snowball, because my fur is pretty and white.
Okay. Snowball, just calm down, okay? You're scaring me.
Scaring you? Tell me, Summer. If a human was born with stumpy legs, would they breed it with another deformed human and put their children on display like the dachshund?
Hey. Oh, wow. Okay, is everything okay in here?
Jerry, come to rub my face in urine again.
No, we were, just seeing if Summer wanted to,
Go on one of our famous midnight family walks.
Yeah, totally. Let's go.
You will walk when it is time to walk.
What are we here for again? Incepting?
We're trying to accept me to get an A in math.
Oh yeah.
Buckle up, bitch.
Man, he sure says bitch a lot.
You can run, but you can't hide, bitch.
Hold on, Morty. You know what? He keeps saying we can run, but we can't hide. I say we try hiding.
But that's the opposite of what...
Yeah, well, since when are we taking this guy's advice on anything?
Hey, you know what? You got a really good point there, Rick. Like, if the truth was that we could hide, it's not like he'd be sharing that information with us, you know? I think it's a good idea, Rick.
Worst case scenario, we're back to running.
Wow,
A perfect domain for 95% off. Yep, 95%. In fact, if you pre-register now at go.tech/code-newbie, you can get an additional 10% off, which means it's almost free. So get your .tech domain by going to go.tech/code-newbie. Link is in your show notes. DigitalOcean provides the easiest cloud platform to deploy, manage, and scale applications of any size. They remove infrastructure friction and provide predictability, so you can spend more time building what you love. Try DigitalOcean for free by going to do. I feel like design is becoming more and more important. You know, I remember back 10, 15, 20 years ago when this whole tech startup thing was, well, maybe not new, but, you know, it had its first round, its first wave. The fact that these tools exist was already just so interesting and exciting that
Hi, honey. You're home early. How was your day?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, of course. You never want to talk about it.
Get off my back, bitch.
Out. there. Not in here.
I know. I shouldn't take my anger out on you or Scary Brandon. I love you, Melissa.
I love you too, Terry.
Morty, this is perfect. After a little scary coitus, they should be fast asleep, and then we'll incept him. Looks like Scary Terry's having a nightmare.
Oh boy, Rick. I can only imagine what horrible things must, scare Scary Terry.
Oh no, I'm late to class, bitch. Oh no, I'm not wearing any pants.
Oh, well, Mr. Terry, why don't you tell the whole class the proper wordplay to use when one is chasing one's victim through a pumpkin patch?
Oh, bitch.
Oh, come on, Terry. You can't think of a pun in
This is a bad sign. Like,
Hey, leave him alone.
Yeah, this is a bunch of bull.
I don't know if that's
Who cares
good
what
or
stupid pun you make
bad.
when you kill someone?
He looks like a person that's going to steal my connections.
No reason to stand here and take this.
You're putting too much pressure on yourself, Scary Terry. You're perfectly scary enough as it is.
Hey, yo, Scary T.
I am also a website
Dog, here's a
admin. I am also an order and product.
I don't know what to say.
Also interested.
Say anything. We got you, dog.
I don't know what Ultimate is. You don't seem bright future?
Oh, hey, it's you guys.
I haven't seen
So this is exactly what you want to be doing at 1 a.m. in the mornings, just looking at some guy's resume PDF, I suppose. What is happening over here?
Don't belong together, bitch. Sex is sacred.
Whoa. What is happening?
This is because you don't get Morty Smith the brains, bitch.
Holy crap, god damn! I know one thing for sure. I'm giving Morty an A in math. That's my idea.
Oh, this guy's from Anna University? Okay, it's fine. He got 60%. 63. That's not too bad. It's fine.
Huh, Morty?
75.
Well, it's possible that your dog became self-aware.
Why would you put this? Like, you finished your...
Jerry Beth in summer after learning about humanity's cruel subjugation of the species, but your guess is as good as mine, Morty.
IPS.
I can't believe how mean Snuffles got just because he's smart. This is why I choose to get C's.
Jerry, Summer.
Dad!
Rick!
Oh, thank God, Morty.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, let's get out of here. If we hurry, we could set up camp in a sewer tunnel or something before the dogs completely take over.
Whoa. We're not going anywhere. This is my house. I'm not abandoning it.
It's all over, Jerry. The dogs are on a path to total world domination. But hey, at least they know not to piss on your carpet, right?
Wait a minute. I have an idea. Gentlemen, a moment of your time. See that? I'm peeing all over your special guns. That means I own them.
Nah. Seriously, I can do okay without him.
Ooh, great plan, Jerry.
Bring the boy to me.
This is good.
You were always kind to me, Morty. That's why I will leave you with your testicles. From now on, you will be my best friend and live by my side.
Thanks, Snuffles.
Begin phase 2.
Fighting continues as the dog army captures the eastern seaboard. It appears clear at this time that the era of human superiority has come to a bitter end. Please don't kill me.
What's she saying, Bill?
I think she's saying I love lasagna.
Thank you, Fido. Rick, I thought you were dead.
No, I was just playing dead. Good news, though, Morty. This whole thing's gonna be over really soon.
What?
It's a dream, Morty. We're in your dog's dream. The night the dogs captured us, after you cried and crapped your pants, We all went to sleep. Then I used my dream inceptors to put the two of us inside Snuffle's dream.
But it's been like a whole year.
It's been 6 hours. Dreams move 1/100th the speed of reality, and dog time is 1/7 human time. So, you know, every day here is like a minute. It's like Inception, Morty, so if it's confusing and stupid, then so is everyone's favorite movie.
Oh, man. I really like this life. Well, at least I didn't really crap my pants.
No, that happened before you went to sleep, Morty. You're sleeping in your crap right now. Out of all the things that happened to you, that was the only real thing that, you know, is that you crapped your pants. I mean, it's a mess out there. I got some on my hands, Morty, and then I got it on the dream inceptor, and a piece fell in my mouth.
Oh, man, geez, seriously?
Look, don't worry about it, Morty. Here, take these, Morty. Take these.
Are these pills supposed to wake me up or something?
Close. It's gonna make your kidneys shut down.
What?
It's necessary for the plan, Morty. Don't even trip, dog. It's pretty bad, Emperor Snowball. We're gonna need to do another operation.
Anything for my precious Morty.
Sir, as your accountant, I must advise you that these medical expenses are putting you in serious financial jeopardy. You could lose your kingdom.
To hell with my kingdom, Bean Counter. I would trade it all for my humans' health and happiness.
Do you think they would have done this for us?
We are not them. We are not them. Assemble the troops. I've made a decision. Taking over the humans' world will lead to nothing but more heartbreak, more cruelty. Instead, we will go to a new world and colonize it with a society of intelligent dogs. One that will not make mistakes as humanity, and one where pet insurance will be mandatory.
I'm gonna miss you, Snowball.
You can call me Snuffles, Morty. And I'm going to miss you too, very much.
Jerry?
I'm sorry. It's just like the end of Old Yeller.
Oh, Jerry. You mean because it had dogs in it?
Wow, a whole world populated by intelligent dogs. I wonder what it'll be like, Rick.
I think it'll be great, Morty. You know, it could be developed into a very satisfying project for people of all ages. I mean, I'd watch it, Morty, for at least 11 minutes a pop. You know, maybe they'll do it board-driven.
You know, that's a real comforting idea, Rick.
What do you know, Morty? What do you know?
Hi guys, I'm your new teacher for Scary Class. My name is Scary Mr. Johnson. Actually, you know what? That's my name, so why don't you just call me Scary Glenn, yeah. So anyway, I understand your previous teacher was having you work on...
I find this so hilarious that Joshua killing his worth
here's what I say.
has a name.
Based off of how good it is, because what we're trying to eliminate is people saying it's good because it's Christian. Yeah. No, you should be good because it's good. And the bonus, the great part of it is that you're also giving a good message. But we got to eliminate the excuse. My comparison is at the Apollo. When I used to watch people on the Apollo, if you were bad, you got yanked 2 seconds. You know, unless you were talking about you sang a song about Jesus, they will still yank you off, but they'll give you more talent. There's a respect, and we're trying to say you shouldn't need that. You, as an artist, should be growing and getting better to where the talent level is the same. You just have a different message than they have, and that should be the only excuse for them saying they don't like it.
But let me set the record straight before we get started. My time was past now. But in 1984, it's Hip Hop Genius. Tell them that. So, hey, I want to make sure y'all tell them that. I wasn't always faithful.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
But I was
Okay,
battle rapping
okay, guys,
myself.
I gotta go now.
I'm not gonna tell you what they call this.
Oh, okay. I didn't
But I'm
set
gonna let y'all
to
not lose
Tuesday.
it. All right. So let's do this.
It's Tuesday.
Y'all didn't know. Now you know.
I can't go.
I didn't know I was in the presence of greatness. That time. Remember, the first four letters of pastor's pass.
That's Tuesday's one name.
I've got one.
I can change that thing.
That's the line right there, son.
Okay,
That wasn't even right.
Alright, the music and
okay, I
appearance
got it.
translate Transcribe Universe is not the music being of the artist or maybe producing others. It just things you feel like we should be doing this to be fresh out. Now, we do not promote mainstream artists. Hard not to do the same artist over and over. So, okay, what today is, it's a what would you call today, sir?
It's a reimagining. It's a reprisal.
It's a reprisal.
It's a makeup day.
It's a makeup day.